Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Congregation for Humanistic Judaism's Rosh Hashanah service. My name is Rochelle Green, and tonight I will be leading today's service with Michelle Tomarkin. Leading us in song is Anna Slate. On piano is Igor Pasternak, and on shofar is Stephen Bauman. We are delighted to be able to be here yet once again in this beautiful church that has welcomed us for so many years, and to live stream our services to the community at large. Please silence your phone, and now let us begin.
In the 7th month, on the first day of the month, there shall be a solemn service, a time to refrain from work, a day of commemoration proclaimed to the sound of the shofar. Tekiah, Tekiah, Tekiah.
Tonight, all over the world, the shofar will sound, and that cry will be understood by Jews and throughout the diaspora. No matter what language Jews speak to conduct their secular or spiritual lives, the poignant bleat of the ram's horn transcends mere words. The shofar is the ritual horn of ancient Israel, recalling primitive times when the ram's horn summons families and tribes to solemn assembly. Its emphatic cry in every age remains a call to conscience.
Tonight we assemble to the sound of the shofar to review and reconsider our lives. Rosh Hashanah heralds an opportunity for new beginnings. Now is the time to pause and reflect, to evaluate the past year, and to discard what no longer fits the person we want to be. Self-reflection, self-evaluation, self-renewal. These are the tasks we are called to by the shofar's blast. Our minds are open to broader issues, but Rosh Hashanah reminds us to begin with self-improvement. With Jews everywhere, we celebrate the significance of this day, the first day of Tishrei, as we usher in a period of reflection that culminates on Yom Kippur. It is good to gather in our own community on Rosh Hashanah, the head of the year.
אחים גם יחד, הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד, הנה מה טוב, הנה מה טוב, לי 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 לי, הנה מה טוב, הנה מה טוב, לי 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 לי, הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד.
Shana Tova, Gut Yor, and Happy New Year. Welcome to the Humanistic High Holidays service of the Congregation for Humanistic Judaism, we call it CHJ, here in Connecticut. This year, we are excited to offer our first hybrid High Holiday celebration. This service is being live streamed for all. This service is being live streamed for all, free of charge, on our YouTube channel. As many of you know, our gifted members have written these services. In them, we express our Jewish culture and tradition in our own ways, from a humanistic and non-theistic perspective. Many of us came to secular humanistic Judaism from traditional, observant Jewish backgrounds. Others, like myself, are the third generation of a family that became secular humanistic Jews long ago, without labeling it that way. Still others have chosen to create a Jewish household as adults. We are delighted to learn from each other. We share the joys of our Jewish heritage. If you find that our services are meaningful to you, we invite you to join CHJ. As a member, you'll be able to participate in the many rich and varied programs, both in person and online and hybrid, that we offer throughout the year. I think you'll find our dues are reasonable, and we offer a special reduced rate for new and out-of-area members. We have always offered high holiday services to the entire community with no charge. We do, however, appreciate contributions to help meet our expenses. And should you decide to join us as a member, any donation you make will be credited toward membership dues. Our website, humanisticjews.org, will tell you how to do these things. It's humanisticjews.org, very simple. We are grateful to Lindsey and Nwaohuocha of Wahoo Live, our live stream videographers, and of course to all of the members, especially those on the stage here, who have made this possible. May this be a better and sweeter year for all of us and for all the world.
In the twilight of the vanishing year, thanksgiving fills our hearts. Our souls are stirred by the memory of joy as Rosh Hashanah and the new year begin. We were sustained by love and kindness, comforted in times of sorrow, found happiness in our homes and gladness with our friends. As the new year begins, our spirits rise in grateful song. But there were dreams that came to naught and times when we refused to dream. These, with much regret, we now remember as the new year begins. As the new year begins, contrition fills our souls. Some of our days were dark with grief. We shed tears for the ties that were broken. We look back with sorrow as the new year begins. As the new year begins, tears well up within us. Yet we look ahead with hope, giving thanks for the chance of renewal, for the promise of good to come. May this Rosh Hashanah, birthday of the world, be our day of rebirth into life and peace, serenity and safety as the new year begins. As the new year begins, so is hope reborn with us.
Sound the shofar on the new moon at the time appointed for our festival day. Tekiah, Shivarim, Teruah, Tekiah.
Today, wherever Jews are, the call of the shofar resounds. It speaks to our hearts, our minds, and our souls. It rouses us to listen to the voice within. Awake, O sleepers, awake from your sleep, cries the shofar. Search your deeds and look to your souls, and better your ways and actions. We will spend the coming days reflecting on where we have been and where we are going, for our future must be informed by our past.
The sound of the ram's horn is sharp. It breaks through the echoes of the day just spent. It cuts through our usual occupations and concerns. It penetrates the air and makes this a special place. It marks the time.
Sounds fill the air about us, but we do not listen to them all. We select. We decide which sounds we respond to. What do we really care to hear? A baby crying, a sound of beauty, a word of love, a cry for help.
What will we hear? What will cause us to turn, to renew a part of life which too quickly passes by? When our children tell us their troubles or proudly share their joys, do we really listen?
Do we hear the loneliness of our elders through their talk as through their silence? And when we hear, do we turn in understanding? Do we help the young to hear the voice of the ages? Do we help their elders to hear the beat of the new?
Do we listen to the sounds of nature, to a bird, to a breeze, or lose them in an offensive noise? Do we hear the sounds of chaos and of creation in our own lives? And hearing, do we love each other more?
Today, the shofar calls out to remind us that time does not stand still and that it is never too late. It is an alarm to waken us from that slumber and stupor which shut out concern for others and for ourselves.
Candles are a powerful symbol in Judaism, used on both joyous and mournful occasions. The flames we are about to kindle represent the eternal flame of the Jewish people and connect us with our heritage.
In the candle's flame, we see the spark of life and the inner light of humanity, which we seek to turn to good ends. Together, we have the power to push back the darkness. Let us say together as the candles are lit, "Radiant is the light in the world. Radiant is the light within each of us. Radiant is the light of life.
Where is my light? My light is in me. Where is my hope? My hope is in me. Where is my strength? My strength is in me. And in you, and in you. Where is my strength? My strength is in me, and in you, and in you. E fori, ori bi, e fo tikvati, tikvati bi, e fo kochi, kochi bi, vigambach, vigambach, e fo kochi, kochi bi, vigambach, vigambach. Where is my light? My light is in me. Where is my hope? My hope is in me. Where is my strength? My strength is in me, and in you, and in you. Where is my strength? My strength is in me, and in you, and in you.
It is Rosh Hashanah, a time of reflection and aspiration. We plumb the past for memories and their meanings. We assess our potential for becoming our best selves. We look backward and forward, but we do not stand still.
The birthday of the world. On the birthday of the world, I begin to contemplate what I have done and left undone. But this year, not so much rebuilding of my perennially damaged psyche, shoring up eroding friendships, digging out stumps of old resentments that refuse to rot on their own. No, this year, I want to call myself to task for what I have done and not done for peace. How much have I dared in opposition? How much have I put on the line for freedom, for mine and others? As these freedoms are pared, sliced, and diced, where have I spoken out? Who have I tried to move? In this holy season, I stand self-convicted of sloth in a time when lies choke the mind and rhetoric bends reason to slithering, choking pythons. Here I stand before the gates opening, the fire dazzling my eyes, and as I approach what judges me, I judge myself. Give me weapons of minute destruction. Let my words turn into sparks.
On Rosh Hashanah, we sit in judgment of ourselves. The reality of our daily lives meets the sharp scrutiny of our ideals. The list of our deeds stands exposed. This is a time for truth, a time to respond to difficult questions.
Have I expressed the love I feel for my dear ones, or have I shut them out? Have I treated others honestly, or have I cheated them, thereby cheating myself?
Have I spoken out when I should have, or remained silent in fear of what others might say? Have I accepted the challenge of new ideas, or do I cling blindly to the old?
Have I developed my talents to the limit, or settled for mere adequacy? Have I burrowed in the narrow rut of comfortable routine?
Have my words become tired? Has my imagination grown stale?
Is my courage spent? Have I been less than I can be?
Traditional Jewish teachings speak of Rosh Hashanah as the day of divine judgment. As humanistic Jews, we must assume all roles in our process of looking inward. We must admit our shortcomings, confess our misdeeds, and accept responsibility. Then we must forgive ourselves and prepare for the year to come.
No other person can give meaning to my life. I cannot control all the factors that define my life. While I cannot control all the factors that define my life, I possess the capacity to determine, if not the length of my days, at least their quality and depth.
We want to be so much more than we are. We want to be wiser, kinder, more vital, and more confident in the act of living. We want to seize the world zestfully and turn it to some urgent purpose. The task is daunting. Each Rosh Hashanah brings new resolutions, most of which we fail to keep. We fear the risk of failure in the unfamiliar. New ideas, new ways, new faces, all threaten our comfort zone.
Still, we must pursue the dreams that challenge us with their visions. We need to seek out and celebrate the strength in our own selves. We must be bold enough to discover our virtues and strong enough to bear our mistakes. The philosopher Kierkegaard reminds us, to venture causes anxiety, but not to venture is to lose oneself.
I will not die an unlived life. I will not live in fear of falling or catching fire. I choose to inhabit my days, to allow my living to open me, to make me less afraid, more accessible, to loosen my heart until it becomes a wing, a torch, a promise. I choose to risk my significance, to live so that which comes to me as seed goes to the next as blossom, and that which comes to me as blossom goes on as fruit. Nwaohuocha. And let us say together, this moment, this night, this community grants me the time and permission to search within, to find the knowledge and courage to fashion my way forward.
At the turning of the season, we see the natural world in flux. The leaves turn from green to red and gold. The birds head once more toward the south. Animals begin to store their food for the winter. For leaves, birds, and animals, turning comes instinctively. But for me, turning does not come easily. It takes an act of will for us to change. It means breaking old habits. It means losing face. It means starting all over again. It means saying, I am sorry. It means recognizing that I have the ability to change. Change is hard, often painful, but unless we turn, we will be trapped in yesterday's ways. Then let us turn from callousness to sensitivity, from hostility to love, from pettiness to purpose, from envy to contentment, from carelessness to discipline, from fear to hope. Let us turn toward each other, for in isolation there is no life.
If you are a 10, then we're Nitzavim. We stand here today and remember the dream. If you are a 10, then we're Nitzavim. We stand here today and remember the dream. Kehila, Kedosha, Kehila, Kedosha, Kehila, Kedosha, Kehila, Kedosha, Lai, 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 Each one of us must play a part. Each one of us must heed the call. Each one of us must seek the truth. Each one of us is a part of it all. Each one of us must remember the pain. Each one of us must find the joy. Each one of us, each one of us. Kehila, Kedosha, Kehila, Kedosha, Kehila, Kedosha, Kehila, Kedosha. Each one of us must start to hear. Each one of us must sing the song. Each one of us must do the work. Each one of us must right the wrong. Each one of us must build the home. Each one of us must hold the hope. Each one of us, each one of us. Kehila, Kedosha, Kehila, Kedosha, Kehila, Kedosha, Kehila, Kedosha.
According to tradition, it is the year 5783 of the Jewish people. We reflect on how we have endured and remained cohesive.
It is the year 246 of our nation. We reflect on Jewish life in America since colonial times and how we have thrived in its climate of freedom.
It is the year 74 of the State of Israel. We reflect on its struggle to be strong, yet remain a beacon of justice and righteousness.
It is the year 55 of our congregation. We reflect on our efforts to define a contemporary Judaism and forge a strong community. We gratefully acknowledge all that the past year has brought us of life and health, of love and joy, of beauty and truth, of strength and courage. Whatever good we have known this year, we reflect upon with gratitude, yet we also reflect upon our sorrows, failures, and disappointments.
Who of us can be entirely content with even our personal lives when we know the injustices in the world? And yet, the new year is a reminder and celebration of the eternal possibility of renewal and improvement.
May this day help us to find meaning in our lives. Let the shofar's call also awaken the voice of our communal conscience and call us to action. And let us say together, may the spirit of our coming together this night grant us peace, that most precious gift, and give us the will to proclaim its message to all the peoples of the earth. Our tradition asserts itself in the symbol of the Torah. This ancient scroll contains much of the early record of our people's experience. Their trials and successes, their mistakes and achievements are revealed with all the color and fury of a glorious history. Through the Torah, we learn the customs and laws, the questions and answers of our own ancient family. Although many centuries separate us from the events and beliefs of our ancestors, there is wisdom to be gleaned from their stories, and their courage and passion still speak to our hearts. For ceremonial purposes, Jews have continued to read from handwritten parchment Torahs in scroll form, housed in arks. Our congregation has such a scroll, a Torah from Czechoslovakia, salvaged from the Holocaust. We feel honored to have this Torah as a permanent loan from the London synagogue that restores and conserves such precious relics. Please stand as the Torah is removed from the ark. With Jews the world over, we read tonight to honor tradition and to connect us to the ancient Jewish text. Please be seated. As Jewish humanists, we are comfortable in freely interpreting the text, looking beyond the literal message for truths and insights that speak to us today. This evening, we venture beyond the traditional holiday reading with a passage from the book of Genesis, in which Rebekah conspires to cheat her eldest son out of his dying father's final blessing. Tonight's Torah reading will be read in English.
It came to pass that when Isaac was old and his eyes dim, so that he could not see, he called Esau his elder son. And he said, "Behold now, I am old, I know not the day of my death. Now therefore take, I pray thee, thy weapons, quiver and bow, and go out to the field, and take me venison, and make me savory food that I may eat, that my soul may bless thee before I die." And Rebekah heard when Isaac spoke to Esau his son, and she spoke unto Jacob her son, saying, "Go now to the flock, and fetch me 2 good kids of the goats, and I will make savory food for thy father. And thou shalt bring it to thy father, that he may eat, so that he may bless thee before his death."
Then Rebekah took the choicest garments of her elder son Esau, and put them on Jacob, her younger son. And she put the skins of the kids of the goats on his hands and on the smooth part of his neck. And Isaac said unto Jacob, "Come near, I pray thee, that I may feel whether thou be my son Esau or not." And Jacob went near unto Isaac his father, and he felt him, and said, "The voice is the voice of Jacob, but the hands are the hands of Esau." And he did not recognize him, because his hands were hairy, like his brother Esau's hands. So he blessed him. And he said, "Art thou truly my son Esau?" And he said, "I am." And his father Isaac said unto him, "Come near now and kiss me, my son." And he came near and kissed him. And Isaac smelled the smell of his clothing and blessed him.
And it came to pass, as soon as Isaac had finished blessing Jacob, and Jacob had scarcely gone out from the presence of Isaac his father, that Esau his brother came in from his hunting. He also had made savory food and brought it to his father, and said, "Let my father arise and eat of his son's venison, that thy soul may bless me." And Isaac said unto him, "Who art thou?" And he said, "I am thy son, thy firstborn Esau." And Isaac trembled exceedingly and said, "Who then is he that hunted game and brought it to me? I have eaten it all before you came, and I have blessed him, and indeed he shall be blessed." When Esau heard the words of his father, he cried with an exceedingly great and bitter cry, and said to his father, "Bless me also, O my father." But he said, "Thy brother came with deceit and hath taken away your blessing."
Please stand as the Torah is returned to the ark. Please be seated.
That's quite a story we just heard. It's natural when reading the Torah to assume that bad behavior by one of the patriarchs, and there's a fair amount of that in the Torah, is being shown to us as a cautionary example of how even the pillars of Judaism were actually flawed individuals. Maybe not depraved killers, but certainly somewhat ethically challenged people. But that natural assumption would be wrong. What we today consider bad behavior, like Rebekah and her favorite son Jacob, cheating her other son Esau out of his birthright and of their dying father's final blessing by means of a clever trick, was actually considered admirable back then, long ago. Back then, Esau would have been regarded as a chump, a loser, not somebody to be pitied. His mother, Rebekah, would have been admired for using her wit and underhanded means to advance the cause of her favorite son, Jacob, over her other son, Esau. In another example of this type of thing, clever Laban tricked Jacob into marrying Rachel's sister, Leah, instead of Rachel, his love, by a clever ruse. And ever since then, a groom lifts the bride-to-be's veil to make sure she's the right person before saying, "I do." Now, the whole Mediterranean region in ancient times admired clever trickster characters. The hero of Homer's epic Greek adventure, the Odyssey, the hero was the lying, shape-shifting, wildly slippery, always scheming warrior, Odysseus. You could not believe a word he said, and he managed to cleverly outwit those around him to his advantage. He was a much admired hero. There's a story that shows this Jewish characteristic of admiring people who live by their wits to get ahead or even to survive. In this story, the Grand Inquisitor put the chief rabbi of Seville on trial for his life for some trumped-up charges. He wanted to trick the rabbi into condemning himself to death. The inquisitor offered the rabbi a small bowl that had two small folded pieces of paper in it. One says guilty, the other innocent. The rabbi has to choose one. But he knows probably the Grand Inquisitor made both pieces of paper say guilty. Thinking quickly, the rabbi chooses one of the two pieces, crumbles it up, and swallows it. Now the remaining piece of paper in the bowl says guilty. Therefore, the one he swallowed must have said innocent. Very clever. Even murder was regarded differently from now. The Torah tells us that young Moses ventured out of the Pharaoh's palace and saw an Egyptian overseer beating a Hebrew slave. Moses struck the Egyptian and killed him, although the killing may have been unintentional. Moses then fled Egypt to avoid the wrath of the Pharaoh. Now, the Torah says nothing about this killing being ethically wrong at that time and back then. What we would now consider criminal crimes, this would be one example, were instead as regarded more like civil crimes. Civil crimes would either be a financial penalty or an act of revenge would be the punishment. Revenge killings are very common back and forth between extended families. The rule was an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. Only decades later did Moses receive the Ten Commandments with its "thou shalt not kill" statement. And despite that commandment about killing, in the Torah, God tells Moses when the Jewish people finally enter the Promised Land, which it turns out was already fully settled by other people, that they should slaughter everyone they encountered, men, women, and children, and sweep the country clean. Does that sound like the behavior of the Russian army in Ukraine? So clearly in the Ukraine, it seems like a backward leap into a caveman-like era of unbridled savagery. Has there been no progress at all in our ability to create a better world? Well, about 2,200 years ago, the Roman poet and playwright Terence said, "Nothing human is foreign to him." A more general thought is that the famous biblical quote from Ecclesiastes that says there's nothing new under the sun. Nothing new under the sun implies there's no conceivable human behavior that someone, somewhere, has not already done before, including unspeakable war crimes like what is taking place in the Ukraine. But the quote from the Latin writer Terence is much more interesting than simply the thought there's nothing new under the sun. Terence said that nothing human is foreign to him personally. And by that he meant that he can imagine personally doing anything you can think of. Now, he did not think of himself as a monster, and in fact, he wrote comedies for the stage over 2,000 years ago. What he was saying, that under some very unusual circumstances, all of us, you and me, are basically capable of some extreme acts of depravity, as well as some selfless heroism, such as donating a kidney to someone. Now, maybe very unusual circumstances would be required to bring forth such extreme behavior from us. Nonetheless, he thought that we all had the potential, in special occasions, for both extreme evil as well as its opposite. Here's an example from, sort of a mild example, from 150 years ago by the very influential German Jewish poet, writer, and critic, Heinrich Heine. Now, Heinrich Heine was Jewish, but like some people back then, he converted to Christianity as a practical measure, not out of belief. In fact, he said, "It's extremely difficult for a Jew to be truly converted, for how can he bring himself to believe in the divinity of another Jew?" Heine said, "Mine is a most peaceable disposition. My wishes are a humble cottage with a thatched roof, but with a good bed, good food, the freshest milk and butter, flowers before my window, and a few fine trees before my door. And if God wants to make my happiness complete, he will grant me the joy of seeing 6 or 7 of my enemies hanging from those trees. Before death I shall, moved in my heart, forgive them all the wrong they've done me in their lifetimes. One must, it is true, forgive one's enemies, but not before they've been hanged. Now, it may be that our ability to create a better world has always been there and has not changed over time, and neither has our ability to slide back into savagery. These just may be eternal features of the human condition. What is needed is not the ability to make a better world, an ability we already have, but the will to do so. We here in this congregation as humanists believe that a better world can only come about through human actions, not through prayers. We alone create the arc of human history. After yet another mass gun shooting here, what's most needed is not our prayers and thoughts of concern for the families of the victims, but the will to actually take action to directly deal with the epidemic of gun violence in this country. Now, as we start the new year on this Rosh Hashanah, let's think about what we can do to try to repair the world. What small efforts we may be able to make personally. Unfortunately, voting to express your wishes and convictions, although it's clearly very important, nonetheless in heavily red or blue states, counties, and towns, it's unlikely to change the status quo. What can we do instead? Well, much more effective is financial support for candidates and causes, as well as volunteering for very local social action activities. The challenge is not in thinking of useful things to do, the challenge is doing them. Tomorrow is not the time to try to repair the world. Yesterday was. Lashana Tova.
Let us pause now for a moment and as we recall those whom we have loved who are no longer among us. What was good in their lives endures in our memory. We are grateful for their lives, for their time with us, and for our companionship with them, and for the sweet memories they left us behind. We say together, in tribute to our departed, may we live wisely, courageously, and usefully. Thus will they remain as loving influences among us.
In everything, there is at least an eighth of death. It doesn't weigh much. With what hidden, peaceful charm, we carry it everywhere we go. In sweet awakenings, in our travels, in our love talk, when we are unaware. Forgotten in all the corners of our being, always with us, and never heavy. Leah Goldberg.
We light this memorial candle in honor of those who have touched our lives but are no longer with us. We light this final memorial candle for the lives lost around the world in the barbaric wars, strife, and acts of terrorism still raging in the 21st century. May it spark within us the courage and resolve to seek peace, justice, and security for all.
There are stars whose radiance is visible on earth, though they have long been extinct. There are people whose brilliance continues to light the world, though they are no longer among the living. These lights are particularly bright when the night is dark. They light the way for humankind. Hannah Senish.
Zecher tzadikim livracha. 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 Zecher tzadikim livracha.
Let this new year be the beginning of a new life in each of us, wherein old things are passed away. Those ideas that remain to feed and encourage our prejudices, let them pass away. Let them pass away, but not the old thoughts that are still true. The anger and bitter feelings, let them pass away. Let them pass away, but not the old emotions filled with kindness. The harsh words, the suspicious looks, the clenched hands and unwilling feet, let them pass away. Let them pass away, but not the compassion and caring that nourish humankind. The new fashions that distract us from behaving responsibly and kindly, let them pass away. Let them pass away, but not the old habits that guide our conscience. May all that is good and precious remain, but let the clutter of our heads and hearts depart, that new inspirations and affections may enter to gladden our lives.
Let the rain come and wash away the ancient grudges, the bitter hatreds, held and nurtured over generations. Let the rain wash away the memory of the hurt, the neglect. Then let the sun come out and fill the sky with rainbows. Let the warmth of the sun heal us wherever we are broken. Let it burn away the fog so that we can see each other clearly, so that we can see beyond labels, beyond accents, gender, or skin color. Let the warmth and brightness of the sun melt our selfishness so that we can share the joys and feel the sorrows of our neighbors. And let the light of the sun be so strong that we will see all the people as our neighbors. Let the earth nourished by rain bring forth flowers to surround us with beauty, and let the mountains teach our hearts to reach upward to heaven. Rabbi Harold S. Kushner.
Tekiah, Shvarim, Teruah, Tekiah Gedolah,
In the coming year and the years that follow, let us renew our commitment to our highest ideals. Let us live mindfully and courageously. Let us welcome new beginnings.
I opened my door, and many, many crowded to come in. I therefore pushed back the walls of my room to welcome all my guests. And my room became the home of my friends, and my room became the world. Amir Gilboa.
May it be a good year. May it be a healthy year. May it be a year of peace. May we have the strength to make it so.
Od yavo shalom aleinu, od yavo shalom aleinu, od yavo shalom aleinu ve'al kulam. Od yavo shalom aleinu, od yavo shalom aleinu, od yavo shalom aleinu ve'al kulam. Salam aleinu ve'al kol ha'olam. Salam, shalom. Salam aleinu ve'al kol ha'olam. Salam, shalom. Od yavo shalom aleinu, od yavo shalom aleinu, od yavo shalom aleinu ve'al kulam. Od yavo shalom aleinu, od yavo shalom aleinu, od yavo shalom aleinu ve'al kulam.
Our Rosh Hashanah service will soon conclude, but let us first symbolically observe a traditional holiday Oneg. We will take a moment to appreciate the fruitful earth and those who labor to provide food for our table. And let us never forget those in our community and beyond whose days are defined by hunger.
We celebrate the fruit of the vine and the bounty of nature as we lift this cup and sip. For we are part of nature, which gives us birth and continues to sustain us. Together we say, may there be such wine to quench the thirst of all who are still parched.
May the sharing of this challah, lovingly baked by CHJ President Ruth Light, strengthen our bonds with others who walk upon this earth. We are grateful to all who have helped bring bread to our table, and we vow to respond in turn to those in need. Let us say together, may there be such bread to purge the emptiness of those who yet hunger.
Let us sing of hope for the new year. Soon the day will arrive when we will be together, and no longer will we live in fear. And the children will smile without them wondering whether on that day dark new clouds will appear. Wait and see what a world there can be if we share, if we care, you and me. Wait and see what a world there can be if we share, if we care, you and me. Some have dreamed, some have died to make a bright tomorrow, and their vision remains in our hearts. Now the torch must be passed in hope and not in sorrow, and a promise to make a new start. La 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 la, Bashana Bashana ba. Otire kama tov yehie, Bashana Bashana ba. La 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 la, Bashana Bashana ba. Otire kama tov yehie, Bashana Bashana ba. L'shana tova.